has been said that my grasp of the Chinese language is not really good enough for somebody that's lived in Taiwan for 16 years.
所以今天的影片会一点点
But luckily for me, Taiwanese people are generally quite patient and usually take the time, try to listen as carefully as possible, and can usually understand the points of what I'm trying to say.
你听得懂吗？
那个阿米说，
阿里吗？说。
阿米，阿里马说。
Not to mention, of course, that there is a huge percentage of the Taiwanese population that has some level of English ability, meaning that foreigners like myself, whose Chinese ability is probably not up to the standard that it should be, can usually get away with communicating and getting our point across in English.
Take your finest to Kenting, please.
Either one way or round trip.
One way.
Do you have easy car or iPad?
But in this video, I'm going to attempt to explain how Taiwan's English ability could be better and how, with a few simple changes, Taiwanese people's English could be taken to the next level and improve Taiwan's English ability as a whole. And one thing I want to make very clear is that I think Taiwan's English ability as a whole is millions and millions of times better than British and English people's language abilities in any language.
Donc, s'il vous plaît, quel âge avez-vous?
I don't know, ask me in English.
British people are some of the laziest language learners on the planet, and that's simply because other people do the hard work for us and they go to learn our language.
Do you speak English?
No, I don't, sorry.
You don't speak any English at all?
Not a word.
So, having said that and making it abundantly clear that I'm not preaching or talking down to any second language English speakers in this video, what do I think is Taiwanese people's biggest problem when it comes to learning English? Well, for me, it's going to come down to confidence, or should I say, a lack of confidence. Of course, when learning a language, you need to remember vocabulary, grammar, sentence patterns, and all of the things that you can learn from a book or a teacher. But without the confidence to actually go out and use it, all of those rules and things that you've learned in class are going to stay in your head and never get used. As somebody who worked as an English teacher for 12 years here in Taiwan, I could see a huge difference in English speaking ability between the kids with confidence and the shy kids who were afraid to speak out for fear of being criticized. Yes, the shy, lower confidence kids maybe did better in their writing and reading exams, but it was always the cheekier, more confident, more outgoing kids that did better when it came to speaking and having conversations with me in class. And I think it's no real secret that Taiwanese culture and Asian culture as a whole is a little bit more shy, a little bit more reserved, and cares a lot more about face when it comes to speaking out in public. So Taiwanese people are generally less enthusiastic when it comes to opening up a conversation or starting a conversation, especially when it comes to speaking in English. I've had dozens of experiences in Taiwan where I've bumped into a Taiwanese person or needed some help from a local, and I've asked them if they speak English, and they start the conversation by saying, "Oh, sorry, my English is very poor," or "I don't speak English." But after a few minutes of talking and after the confidence levels rise, I soon find out that their English is actually much better than they thought it was, and they just didn't want to embarrass themselves, or because of a lack of confidence, they didn't want to start an English conversation and make a mistake. So if this sounds like you, somebody with at least a basic level of English ability, but without the confidence or perhaps without the opportunity to have conversations with a native English speaker, then maybe I have the perfect solution for you. And that solution I've got for you is an awesome new app for improving your English abilities, and that's Elsa Speak. Yes, as a foreigner living in Taiwan, I understand the struggles of learning a new language, and that's where the benefits of Elsa Speak offer you the opportunity to practice directly with the AI on a daily basis without having to worry about embarrassing yourself or indeed having to find the time or money to go to inconvenient, expensive cram school classes. Elsa Speak uses advanced voice recognition and AI technology and has been ranked among the world's top 5 AI apps with millions of downloads globally. Founded in Silicon Valley and invested by Google, Elsa is well known for its ability to pinpoint exact errors and give instant feedback for users to fix their speaking mistakes. I shared the app with a couple of Taiwanese friends who've been trying it for me, and they say they were amazed by how accurately it rated their English and how it picked out specific mistakes in their English pronunciation. Now, I like to think my English is pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. So I'm going to put Elsa Speak to the test now, trying one of their daily lessons and see if I can trick it, see if I can get some hints and tips on how I can improve my English pronunciation. So we're going to open up the app, go to practice daily lessons, and see how it rates my English as a native English speaker with maybe a little bit of poor pronunciation thrown in for a little bit of fun. So let's start training.
Would you mind repeating that, please?
Would you mind repeating that, please? What? It knows exactly that I've changed the long I of mind into a short I for mind. And because it's found a mistake with my pronunciation, if I just click on the red letter I, it gives me a score, 50%. It grades me on every single part of the word that I pronounced. Excellent for the first, third, and fourth sounds, but I didn't use the long I used a short I, so it's corrected me, and I'm pretty impressed. So as you can quite clearly see, Elsa Pro's AI technology can easily identify the mistakes I make with my pronunciation, intonation, and fluency, and then give me the correct way to say it so I can improve here in the comfort of my own home. So at the end of the lesson, it gives me a breakdown, a summary of my progress. So I got 89% for this lesson, and it shows me the 4 phrases that I practiced. That's really good. I'm very impressed with it. And as you can see, today's goal is to finish 5 lessons. I'm not going to take you through all 5 lessons. Don't want to make this video too long, but I do want to introduce to you another feature of Elsa Speak Premium, which actually offers me different AI conversations I can have, starting from easy, medium, all the way through to hard. Let's go through one of the Elsa Premium AI conversations, and of course, I'm going to go for one of the hard ones. So let's say I want to request birthday leave from my boss.
You want to take a day off work to celebrate.
Good morning. What can I do for you today?
I would like a day off, please.
Can you please tell me the reason for your leave request?
It's my son's 12th birthday.
Family events are always important.
Yes, and I promised I would take my son to the zoo.
That sounds like a fun day for your son. Do you have any plans for making up your missed work?
I feel stressed like I'm talking to a boss. I haven't had a boss for 5 years. Yes, I will come in early on Monday and stay late after work to finish all of my missed work.
That's a responsible plan. I will approve your day off request for your son's birthday.
Roleplay completed. Well done. We are computing your feedback.
Wow, it gives me an assessment summary of all my conversational skills. This is definitely one of the best English learning apps that I've ever come across during my time here in Taiwan. I just wish I could find a similar app for Chinese learning so that I could improve my terrible pronunciation and my tones. Highly recommended. So if you want to give this awesome app a try, now is a great time because
Elsa Speak AI are offering our followers a special discount so that you can begin immediately improving your English communication skills using either Elsa Pro, which I think is good enough for a basic learner, or Elsa Premium with its full-scale advanced features, which is perfect if your English is already good enough, but you want to boost it to the next level. Click the link in the description box down below to take advantage of the special offer and start using Elsa Speak immediately to boost your English to the next level. And if you do so, you start using Elsa Speak, then send me a screenshot of the app on Instagram and we can have a chat all about how you're benefiting from the app and you can show me how much your English has improved. But anyway, let's get back to the points of my video and talk about why I think Taiwanese English isn't as good as it should be. And that second reason is going to be related to travel and tourism. First of all, Taiwanese people are much more likely to travel within Taiwan when they find themselves with a long weekend to spare, and are less likely to travel overseas to countries where English may be more necessary. Yes, of course, there are Taiwanese people that will travel overseas internationally when they find themselves with a long break, but when they do, they're more likely to travel with a tour group, with a tour guide who will be responsible for communicating in English with the locals, meaning that the Taiwanese people traveling overseas can get all the information on the local area from the tour guide rather than having the pressure of having to speak English with hotels or restaurant owners when taking that international trip. So even the Taiwanese people taking international trips still don't really need English when it comes to communicating whilst traveling. And this point also applies in the opposite direction when it comes to tourists coming here, as Taiwan really isn't on the radar for Western tourists, and as such, local business owners here that rely on tourism don't need to communicate with those tourists in English because the majority of tourists are actually Taiwanese and speak the local language. In fact, it wasn't until COVID came along and changed everything that the majority of tourists into Taiwan were actually from China, once again proving my point that Chinese language is usually good enough for communicating with tourists or local business owners. If for some reason the number of tourists coming from England, America or other English-speaking countries was to suddenly increase or multiply tenfold, then I'm sure local business owners that rely on tourism for income and revenue would either find a way to improve their English or hire more English speakers in order to take advantage of these English-speaking tourists. And when I use this phrase, take advantage of, I don't mean anything unscrupulous or nefarious. just mean that they would make the most of the situation while they've got English-speaking tourists to increase their revenue. Another reason why I think Taiwan's English ability isn't as good as it possibly could be would be strongly related to culture. As I mentioned earlier, the concept of face is very important here in Taiwan, and I strongly believe that this prevents them from speaking English out confidently for fear of being mistaken. But also here in Taiwan, regardless of language, the culture is just a little bit more quiet, a little bit more reserved, meaning that Taiwanese people in general just don't start up conversations with strangers. In fact, I just had dinner last night with a Taiwanese friend who just got back from a one-year working holiday in Australia, and not only had her English improved by miles, of course, but also she commented to me on how she cannot believe the way that Australians and other Westerners just start up conversations with strangers, whether that's asking the petrol pump attendant how their day is going, talking about the weather with the 7-Eleven clock, or just a random conversation in the park with a random stranger about nothing in particular. These kind of conversations and interactions are completely normal in Western countries. But when my friend arrived back in Taiwan, she said she feels a certain coolness or coldness between strangers here, and the idea of starting up a conversation with a stranger here in Taiwan is just completely abnormal. As we saw with the Elsa Speak app, speaking out and trying new vocabulary and sentence pattern is the best and fastest way to improve. So just as I used to tell my students in the English class where I used to teach in the Bushy Band, the best way to improve your English speaking is to overcome this shyness. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Start a conversation in English with an English speaker, whether that's Taiwanese second language, native speaker. Just go for it, speak out, make mistakes, and watch how you will improve. The final point I want to make on this topic is something that I've probably mentioned many times on the channel before, and is one of the major reasons why I think Taiwan will never become a bilingual country, at least not by the year 2030, and that's the way that English is taught in the school system here. There is so much emphasis on passing written tests in English here in Taiwan that the art of speaking the language is often the least important aspect of the subject in schools. And some of you may disagree with me and tell me that your kids speak perfect English and there is no problem within the Taiwanese education system when it comes to English, but people like you are probably in the minority. Until Taiwan changes the emphasis from testing to speaking English, and until they increase the amount of time kids actually spend practicing conversational English, then I fear Taiwan will never become a bilingual country, certainly not within the next 6 years. I often try to avoid pessimism and be as optimistic as possible on this channel, but when it comes to this bilingual country by 2030, I really have reservations and doubts as to whether it's possible. I'd love to get your opinion on this subject, so whether you agree with me, disagree with me, or have something to add to the conversation, then go to the comment section and let me know your thoughts down there. And while you're down there, don't forget, hit that like button to show YouTube that you want more content like this. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed, what are you doing? The subscribe button will give you a beautiful, sparkly, starry surprise when you click it. Trust me, go hit that subscribe button and see what happens. But I think that's pretty much everything I've got to say on the topic. So once again, a friendly reminder to go check out Elsa Pro and Elsa Premium and start boosting your English level immediately. But yes, time to say goodbye. Thanks for watching. As for now, and as always, I'll see you next time in My Life in Taiwan. Peace. Bye-bye.